Hello again. In this video I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the Isle of Wight weekend, and I'm going to be covering some of the routes and give you a little bit of an explanation about where things are, a little bit of an orientation really. So here we are, here's the Isle of Wight. You're going to get there from Waterloo to Portsmouth, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you're going to get a ferry from Portsmouth Harbour to Ryde. So on the Isle of Wight there are various places you can stay. Newport is the biggest town, and there are various little villages all over the place, but I'm recommending that you stay in Shanklin, which is on this side. And I'm going to switch to the Ordnance Survey map so we can get a better picture of what it looks like. So on the east side of the island there is actually a train line that joins up to Ryde Harbour, and it joins up all of the villages on this side, so it's actually really easy to get to. So in an evening you can easily get to Shanklin in enough time for you to get to your hotel or B&B. It's also really well connected by bus, and there is a lovely walk that you can do around here, which is the one I'm suggesting for day 2, which gives you fantastic views over the southeast of the island. And also Shanklin is a little seaside town, so you get to walk on the beach at sunset, and I just think that is really nice. So that's why I'm recommending Shanklin. If you want to stay in a hostel, the only hostel really that's any use, there is another one but it doesn't open very much, but the only one that is open all the time is Totland, which is on the western side. So you could choose to stay there and still do all these walks, which is fine. It's just going to be that you're kind of on the opposite side of the island, but you can get to them by bus. So I've put a lot more information about that in the guide, so if you really want to stay in a hostel and that is a top priority for you, then you can read more information about that and what I suggest. So bear with me, here we are. So when you arrive at Ryde Harbour, you're going to just get on the train line and it's going to take you all the way down to Shanklin. But what I'm going to show you now is the routes for day 1, because what I've done is I've actually come up with 4 different options for the day 1 route, because it depends on the time of year, how much daylight you have, and how much energy you have, and how far you want to walk, and just what you fancy doing really. So I've based it all around the same basic route, which is the Tennyson Trail. So the Tennyson Trail is one of the island's many walking trails. It's well signposted, and there is a PDF download instructions which you can download, which I've linked to. But I have worked out various different ways of shortening it if you want to do a shorter one, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to actually show you that now. But first of all, you're going to be staying in Shanklin. So for the day 1 walk, you have to get the bus to Newport. So all the buses on the island come to Newport, which is this central town, the island's biggest town, I think. And you just change at the bus station there. So the Tennyson Trail actually runs from just outside Newport, actually, a place called Carisbrooke. It's about 1.5 miles from the centre of Newport, and you can get a bus there, or you could walk if you want to. And it comes down this way, and it heads over right to the far west of the island, where you have the Needles and you have Alum Bay. So these are the major kind of sights to see on the island, the things that it's probably the most famous for. And along the way you've got this beautiful downland that you're walking on, some of the island's best views, and to my mind some of the best of the area of outstanding natural beauty that the island has, because the AONB kind of covers the western side and the southern side as well. So you'll be walking basically through the heart of it. So I'm going to actually start off from Carisbrooke, and I will show you at the various points where you can shorten the walk. So the full walk of the Tennyson Trail, it starts at Carisbrooke and it ends at Alum Bay, and then you get a bus back to Newport and you get a bus back to Shanklin. So it's a little bit of a long ride back, but it's actually a really nice bus journey, because you're just on this bus going through all these lovely country lanes. You can just look out of the window and enjoy being on holiday. It's really great. So the full walk is actually 14 miles, and that, as I say, it starts from Carisbrooke. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. Hopefully I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so Carisbrooke is here, and Newport, it's just basically on the outskirts of Newport. So as I say, you could walk it. It's about 1.5 miles, and I have walked it, but it's just mainly along the roads. But it's up to you. You can get a bus, and it'll only take a few minutes as well. So the Tennyson Trail actually starts here, and as you can see, when you have the 1 to 25,000 map, it will be marked on there with green diamonds, so it's really great for navigation. So straight away you're up onto a kind of hilly downland, which is great, and you're basically going to be on downland for the rest of the day, and it's just great because you get these wonderful ridges, these beautiful grassy trails, and you get fantastic views. So you just follow the trail along, and eventually you get to Brystone Forest, and Brystone Down is actually one of the island's 2 Marilyn Hills, which is, if you're into hill bagging at all, then you might know about this, but it's hills with 150 metre prominence, so they are like the hilliest places, okay, that are in, you know, within a certain range. And if you're into bagging it, then you just have to do a little detour to the trig point here, so don't miss that if you're really keen on doing that. And then it joins onto the Worsley Trail, and then you come this way, so you're basically heading in this direction to the west for the rest of the day. Motterstone Down, it's just great. You have these wonderful views. You can see the sea, you can see almost the whole of the island from some places. It's wonderful. This is a lovely viewpoint, 5 Barrows. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's pretty easy navigation wise as well, as I say, because it's well signposted, and you're on top of these downs as well, so, and you've got the sea here, so it's pretty easy too. So you come over Tennyson Down through this golf course, and you reach Freshwater Bay. There are a few cafes there if you want to have a little break, and then you're up onto, this is Tennyson Down, my apologies. And here you have Tennyson's Monument, which is another landmark, because Tennyson used to live nearby, and there's a lot of information about him on the island if you want to find out more about that. You just keep heading on, and you're basically heading to the Needles, and the great thing is that when you're on those downlands walking in this direction, you can see it ahead of you, and you're just basically heading to this fantastic natural site that you can see when you get here. So when you get to the Needles, which is these white outcroppings of cliffs, you also have the Needles Battery, which is these this sort of military buildings that are quite interesting to look at as well. And when you've looked at this, you can come back around here, and this is where you would get the bus back to Newport. So this is Allen Bay, and Allen Bay is really well known for its different colours of sand, and they sell those little glass bottles with all the different colours of sand in from Allen Bay. And there is a park there as well with some cafes and refreshments. So you would actually get the bus back from this point here, which is the Needles Park. So there you go, and if you're staying in Totland Youth Hostel, it's actually here, so you could walk back there too. So I'm going to quickly zoom back a little bit and show you where you would go if you want to cut this short, because as I say, this whole thing is 14 miles, so you can actually cut it short by various different routes, and I'm going to cover those now. So the first way of cutting it short is to 11.5 miles, which is about 18.5 kilometres, and I'm just going to, shall I zoom in a bit more? Yeah, there we go. So at this point where the Tennyson Trail comes from Carisbrooke to Brystone Forest, it joins the Worsley Trail. So to cut it short, which I'm calling the Shorewell route, is you would get a bus from Newport along this road here, which goes to a village called Shorewell, and you would get off at a bus stop, which I've given you all the information for and what it's called. I think it's called Cheeverton Chute actually, and it is just about here. And as you can see, you can head up the road and join onto the Worsley Trail, follow this along until it matches to the Tennyson Trail. And the good thing about this route is that you go over this amazing viewpoint, Limestone Down, which is a wonderful panoramic viewpoint, and it's absolutely fantastic. So that is a really easy way of cutting it short. And the journey to this bus stop here, it only takes about 13 minutes on the bus from Newport, so it really isn't going to take you that much longer. So the other way of cutting it short is further on, and that is near a village called Brook, which is, where are we? Ah yes, here we are. So Brook Village is down here, so the same bus from Newport that goes to Shorewell also goes to Brook, and it comes to Brook via this road, the B3399, and it comes to this junction called Brook Triangle. So from Brook Triangle you can get off, and then you can walk up this road, and you can join the Tennyson Trail here just before Five Barrows. And I've given you all the information about where the bus stop is and what it is called, and even what happens if you accidentally miss this bus stop and you end up here. So don't worry about that. I've tried to give as much information as I can. So starting from there would cut down the route to 8.3 miles. And even if you want to do like a really, really short route, there is a circular walk that you can do from the Needles Park. So you would actually get your bus all the way here and do a circular walk up on the Tennyson Down, and I've given you information for that, and that is a really short one, so that is just about 4.5 miles. So if for some reason you just want to do a really short walk but still take in some of the best sites, Tennyson Down, the Needles, Allen Bay, then go with that one, because that will cover all of those things, and it's still a really fantastic walk. So those are the options for day one. Now I'm going to zoom over to day two. So day two, you're staying in Shanklin, so it is actually starting from Shanklin, so you won't have to do any bus journeys if you don't want to. So that is good. Okay, so here is Shanklin, and here is Shanklin Railway Station, and here's the beach. So from the railway station, you're going to be actually starting off, you're going to be finding your way to this church here, which is the start of the Worsley Trail. I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more. Here we are. So this church, which is just on the outskirts of Shanklin, and I've told you what it's called in the guide. And this is going to be a circular route that will take you over some of the best viewpoints on the east, above Shanklin and Ventnor, one of the island's second Marilyn as well you'll be going over. So there is a little bit of climbing, but then you come down to Ventnor, which is a lovely little village south of Shanklin, and I'm suggesting that you have lunch in a really nice pub there, and then you can walk back along the coast, which is lovely as well. So that full circular is 8.5 miles, and I actually have a lot of options of shortening it as well, so I'll probably talk about those as we go on, but I'm going to show you the full route now. So you head to this church and you follow the Worsley Trail through these fields and up here, and your eventual aim is to get to Shanklin Down, which is here, which gives you great views over obviously Shanklin and Wroxall and lots of places in the east of the island. So you could just head straight up, but I think it might be nicer to follow the Worsley Trail to this point and then zigzag back and climb up St Martin's Down this way. But it's totally up to you. You could come that way as well, but whichever way you get there, you need to get to Shanklin Down, and then you're on top of the ridge, the lovely, lovely ridge. So you're following it sort of south. It turns into Luckham Down, and there's a lovely viewpoint here and a little rough parking area, and this is Bonchurch Down, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see how close it is to the sea, and how fantastic the sea is. And from here you can actually see the south coast in kind of this eastern direction as well. It's really lovely. So you come around past this radar station. Doesn't really matter which way you choose to go round, but one thing to note is the Marilyn trig point is here, so that is the St Boniface Down Marilyn. So you might want to tick that off, or you might not be bothered, but either way I thought I'd let you know. So the way to come down to Ventnor is you would be coming down this steep descent here, down St Boniface down, and you get down to Ventnor. And then what you want to be looking out for is all these zigzaggy roads, and one of them is actually called the Zigzag Road, I think. So you want to be heading towards them, and between the Zigzag Road there are lots of little steps that you can go down instead of following the road down. So from the end of St Boniface down, make your way to these zigzag roads and just basically come down to here, to Ventnor Bay. So whether you go down the steps or you just follow the road zigzagging, you need to come down to Ventnor Bay. And here on this side of Ventnor Bay is a great pub called the Spyglass Inn. So you can have a well-deserved, lovely pub lunch and just celebrate all your achievements and all your great walks so far. So from Shanklin to Ventnor Bay, that is 5 miles, and after that it is 3.5 miles along the coast back to Shanklin. So what I'm suggesting as an option is that you could decide to stop at Ventnor and get a bus back to Shanklin if your 5 miles has tired you out, or if you just want to spend the afternoon in the pub, which, you know, I don't blame you, that's fine. So I have given you instructions on how to find the bus stop in Ventnor to take you back to Shanklin. But this is why it's always a good reason to have all of the bus timetables with you, because it gives you a lot of flexibility, and so you can just think, okay, could we, you know, the next bus is in an hour, let's just stay here in the pub and then get the bus. So I really recommend that you always carry the timetables with you. Okay, so if you're carrying on back to Shanklin, you're basically joining on now to the coastal path. So the Isle of Wight has this great coastal path all the way around, I think, and as you can see, it's a green diamond marked trail, and there is a PDF instructions that you can download for it. So you're only going to be walking a short section between Ventnor and Shanklin, but I've told you which bits of the PDFs are relevant to look at. But really it's pretty easy. You're just following the coast along, so you follow it around Ventnor Bay, and then you go past this undercliff, and you just keep following it around. And one of the things to look out for is this little church called Bond Church, Old Church, and I can't remember exactly where it is right now, but the instructions tell you where it is. But it's a really old church, and it's just a really pretty little building to have a little nosy inside on your journey, so don't miss out on that. So here the route heads up through this landslip, and then keep following it past Luckham Village, and then eventually you get back to Shanklin, and that was the church that you started from. And here it comes actually at Shanklin Beach, it comes down to the beach again. And what I've actually suggested is that you end your walk, if you have time and if you want to, by a visit to Shanklin Chine. So that is a leafy gorge, which is one of a big tourist attraction in Shanklin. It's just a really nice place to potter around and be in this weird gorge that's really kind of dark and ferny and interesting, but you do have to pay. It's not that expensive, and it won't take you hours and hours to look round, but the route, as you can see, just ends right at the bottom of Shanklin Chine. So you can go in to the gate there and head up, and you can pop out on this main road into Shanklin. So from there you can head back to the railway station if you need to get your train back to London. Or what you'll notice in the guide is what I've suggested you could alternatively do if you have time and if you want to, is instead of going to Shanklin railway station, you could just continue on the coastal path for a bit longer to the next station, which is called Lake, and it's not actually that far really from Shanklin, because you're going to have to walk from Shanklin Chine all the way to this railway station anyway. But if you want to do a little bit more, you could just walk to Lake, and as you can see, it's really close to the coastal path. So you look at that, it's really close. so the same trains will call there just a few minutes later. So it's just another little option for you if you want to eke out those last final hours on the beaches, that I thought I would mention to you. So those are the walking options. I really hope you enjoy it. I think it's a really good itinerary. And of course, if you don't want to do the second day's walk, you can visit one of the many tourist attractions. You can get buses into Newport and to everywhere. There's a castle at Carisbrooke. There is a historical, what's it called, Osborne House, Queen Victoria's house at Cowes, or near Cowes. So there's loads and loads of things to see, and it's really nice. It's just a really nice island, and yeah. So I hope you have a good trip. Check out the guide. The guide has got so much more information and detail in it, and if you have any questions, as usual, do let me know. I would love to know how you get on, and please send me your pictures, because I love to see that I've helped people actually get out to somewhere really great. Okay, good luck, and I'll speak to you next time. Bye.